Hello and welcome to this week's lecture on Chapter 8, Thinking, Language, and Intelligence. What is thought? Well, first we're going to start with cognition. This is the mental activity that includes thinking and the understandings that result from thinking. Thinking itself is the mental manipulation of representations of knowledge about the world. Thinking allows us to take information, consider it, and use it to build models of the world, set goals, and plan our actions accordingly. Thinking involves two types of mental representations. The challenge for cognitive psychologists is to understand the nature of our everyday mental representations. There are two types: analogical representations and symbolic representations. Analogical representations are mental representations that have some of the physical characteristics of objects in that they are analogous to the objects. Symbolic representations are abstract mental representations that do not correspond to the physical features of objects or ideas. Mental maps rely on both analogical and symbolic representations. Symbolic representations can lead to errors because we can represent only a limited range of knowledge analogically, and thus we use memory shortcuts unconsciously. Leads us to this question: which is farthest west? San Diego, California, or Reno, Nevada? When you were asked whether San Diego or Reno, Nevada was farther west, you probably formed a mental map or an analogical representation. However, your symbolic knowledge probably informed you that California is farther west than Nevada. Due to this knowledge, your mental map made you think that San Diego was west of Reno. You are not taking into account the way that northern Nevada sits just west of southern California. But this real map, showing location relative to uniform lines of longitude, shows that symbolic knowledge was inadequate in this case. Concepts are symbolic representation. Categorization, or grouping things based on shared properties, reduces the amount of knowledge we must hold in memory and is therefore an efficient way of thinking. We group objects into categories according to the object's shared properties. Here's a handy graphic from the book, shows categorization in action. Much of our knowledge of the world is based on concepts, or categories of items organized around common themes. To reiterate, a concept is a category or class of related items. It consists of mental representations of those items. All right, there are two models here, a prototype model and an exemplar model. A prototype model is a way of thinking about concepts. Within each category, there is a best example or a prototype for that category. In an exemplar model, which is a way of thinking about concepts, all members of a category are examples or exemplars. Together they form the concept and determine category membership. It assumes that, through experience, people form a fuzzy representation of a concept because there is no single representation of any concept. According to the prototype model, some items within a group or class are prototypes. That is, they are more representative of that category than are other concepts in the category. For this reason, an orange seems to be the prototype of the category fruit. By contrast, olives do not seem to be very representative of the category. In case you didn't know it, a tomato is a fruit. Quick, what animal are you looking at? Is this a dog or a sheep or a pig? How does it match your exemplar for these animals? This is actually a Mangalitsa pig. They just have furry hair like that. Patterns of brain activity enable us to distinguish between animals high or low in threat, even across different classes of animals. This is one of those evolutionary things that have come with us over the years to help keep us from dealing with dangerous animals. All right, schemas organize useful information about environments. Schemas are cognitive structures that help us perceive, organize, and process information. What we view as appropriate is shaped by culture. Schemas and scripts may lead us to think and act in stereotypical ways. Stereotypes are cognitive schemas that allow for easy, fast processing of information about people based on their membership in certain groups. Gender roles are the prescribed behaviors for females and males and represent a type of schema that operates at the unconscious level. The schemas and scripts that children learn are likely to affect their behavior when they are older. And I mentioned scripts earlier. A script is a schema that directs behavior over time within a situation. Schemas and scripts are adaptive in that they enable us to make quick judgments with little effort. All right, the script theory of schemas. According to this theory, we tend to follow general scripts of how to behave in particular settings. At the movies, we expect to buy a ticket or print one if we bought one online. The cost of the ticket might depend on the moviegoer's age and the time of day. Next, we might buy a snack before selecting a seat. Popcorn is a traditional snack at movie theaters. Caviar is not. If we are part of a couple or group, we expect to sit together with the other person or the group. Although quiet talking might be appropriate before the movie, most of us expect talking to cease once the feature begins. That is how scripts and schemas work. And this concludes part 1 of chapter 8